Hello, my name is Daniel Shur, and today I would like to share with you information that, even though a lot of people are unaware of it, affects every single American who lives in the United States of America. And that information, ladies and gentlemen, revolves around the party system of our country. Did you know that almost all the presidents of the United States were either Republicans or Democrats? According to the Statista article U.S. President's Party Affiliation from 1789 to 2021 by Aaron O'Neill, since George Washington's election, the United States has had 46 presidents, of whom only 6 presidents were not affiliated with either the Republican or the Democratic Party. Considering the fact that Trump has been sworn into the presidency, it means that 41 of all the American presidents have ties with either the Republican Party, the Democratic Party, or both, taking over the majority of our governing bodies. The reason why that happens to be the case is that our country functions as a two-party system, meaning the likelihood of a candidate that doesn't happen to be part of the Republican or Democratic Party becoming the president, for example, is very, very small, because it is absurdly unlikely for them to get enough votes to win. Nonetheless, it is my belief that America should become a multi-party country, because that is going to encourage people to become more educated and critical regarding politics, will improve the likelihood of better administrators to be put into power, and will minimize the division that is rising between the Republicans and the Democrats of this great country. Now, you could be asking yourself, Daniel, why do you care about this topic so much that you are going out of your way to share it with us? Well, you see, ever since I was a child, I have been interested in politics. I remember how, when I was still a kid, and me and my family would sit down to eat, I would ask my dad what is happening in our country and out in the world. And as he would brief me in on all the major events of the geopolitical spectrum, I would sit there enraptured, listening in captivation to every single word that he spoke. As I got older, I would continue dabbling in politics, listening to voices representing the farthest reaches of the two aisles of the political spectrum, as well as people who were much more moderate in comparison to their more radical counterparts. Even now, I still continue to listen to people who have different perspectives from me to be able to identify what exactly is the most reasonable thing to believe, so that I can enact my right to vote in the most reasonable way possible. So, the reason why I care about politics is because I have been interested in it for a very, very long time, and because I believe it to be very important, for it affects all of our lives. As mentioned before, most Americans either consider themselves to be Republicans or Democrats. Unfortunately, a very considerable number of these people, rather than striving to identify the truth, no matter if it aligns with their party's beliefs or not, side almost on all, if not all, the political positions of their party without really analyzing or reflecting on their personal beliefs or understandings of the matter. This, of course, isn't the case with every single voter, but is sadly the case for a lot of people on the right and the left aisles of the political spectrum. Now, you could be asking yourself, wait, but what about all the independents? Well, they also very commonly lean towards the left or the right. In fact, as the ABC News article, Few Americans Who Identify as Independent Are Actually Independent, That's Really Bad for Politics by Jeffrey Scally points out, few independents are actually independent. Roughly 3 in 4 independents still lean toward one of the two major political parties, and studies show that these voters aren't all that different from the voters in the party they lean toward. Independents who lean toward a party also tend to back that party at almost the same rate as openly partisan voters. That means that even independents who claim to be independent from the parties that dominate our politics still lean considerably toward one party or the other, accepting the notions, ideas, and policies that they propose as the right ones. The thing is, though, this problem could be minimized to a considerable degree if our country were a multi-party system. How? Well, if more parties were to be taken seriously, more people would go out of their way to strive to find more about them, leading to a better understanding of political topics and policies. The multi-party system will result in more candidates being recognized as legit candidates, which will result in their viewpoints being heard and taken seriously, which is not the case now, as William Cooper successfully attests in his article America's Two-Party System is Failing Us, when he states, while third parties occasionally make some noise, they never threaten the Democratic-Republican duopoly. Rather than subscribing to the notions, ideas, values, and beliefs of their party, if the multi-party system is implemented, people will be more likely to rethink their positions in consideration of the other parties that exist out there. Another great benefit that could come out of the multi-party system is that our government will be filled with better policy makers. Currently, seemingly on every single relevant topic, Republicans and Democrats disagree. Be it a topic that revolves around national security, religion, economy, etc., Republicans and Democrats almost always disagree with each other, no matter if the policy proposed by the other side is reasonable or warranted. In fact, Republicans and Democrats seemingly disagree with each other on principle, acting as if the opposing side is incapable of making any reasonable claims and is always wrong. If our country were to adopt the multi-party system, that would encourage the candidates for higher offices to propose the most popular, commonsensical, and constructive policies to outdo their multilateral competition. As Lee Drutman and Scott Mainwaring make it clear in their article The Case for Multi-Party Presidentialism in the US, the multi-party system will bolster candidates to be more flexible and will empower compromise-oriented officials. In this way, people would have the choice to pick from more than two options, encouraging politicians to propose policies that are not simply based on the basis that they are not the same as the opposing side, but will propose policies that are more reasonable, clever, and proper to obtain the support of their fellow citizens. Now, it is no secret that the antagonism between the Republicans and Democrats is almost at an all-time high. If the multi-party system were to be implemented in our country, it would considerably diminish the hatred and disdain that Republicans and Democrats hold for each other, because it would enable other parties to have a chance at dominating the nation, in this way discouraging the us versus them mentality that is so prominent nowadays. Sadly, as David Andreatta points out in his article, doesn't matter how much Democrats and Republicans hate each other, yes it does, Republicans and Democrats are constantly mocking and putting each other down by claiming that the opposing side is immoral, dishonest, and unintelligent. In fact, countless families and relationships are getting ruined due to the animosity between Democrats and Republicans. But this animosity can be cooled down, if not fully eliminated, by the multi-party system. That is because a bunch of new parties would divert the attention of Democrats and Republicans from each other to the new competition that threatens to take their place at the White House. Now that we have gone over the reasons why the multi-party system can positively influence our country, I would like to share with you ways in which we could make it a reality. It so happens that our party system is determined not by the government, but by the people. If we, as citizens, decide to support, join, or create new parties, and people go out of their way to vote for them, our country can become a multi-party system. Considering the fact that the multi-party system will improve people's understanding of politics, will result in better political leaders, and will diminish the hatred between Republicans and Democrats, to keep, retain, and improve our country, let us seek to support, join, and implement the third parties of this nation to make them truly be heard and empowered. In conclusion, I would like to thank all of you for taking the time to listen to my presentation. Today, we explored how the multi-party system can benefit America by encouraging the public to truly educate themselves on politics and different policy propositions, introducing new and better candidates, and cooling the hostility between the two main parties in America. Hopefully, this presentation has taught you something new, and remember, If you don't desire candidates who possess the divisiveness of Trump and don't want candidates like the old Grandpa Biden, remember that and so much more can be changed if America were to embrace the multi-party system of government. Goodbye.